What's up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everybody's doing well, and we have a lot to dive into today considering that elections are next week. So be sure to stick around because I want to discuss liquidity during this time for markets globally and some of the crazy things we can see. So today is also our monthly iTrustCapital video. I want to give a huge thank you to iTrustCapital for being my only sponsor on this channel and allowing me to continue making videos for free for everybody. But alright, let's dive in. We're going to discuss the elections, the Bitcoin price chart historically during this time, and then we're going to go over several pieces of news for iTrustCapital. Alright, first up, let's discuss liquidity during elections and after elections because my Forex broker just sent me an email with warnings of high volatility, and that's what we've historically seen in markets globally. So what does that necessarily mean, and why would there be high levels of volatility? So typically the outcome of US elections could see a huge shift in policy, so we don't really know what's going to happen, who's going to win, and what is going to be the impact of that. So either way, this globally impacts markets, knowing that elections are next week on Tuesday, and this can have a lagging effect. There could be traders and speculators trying to front run anything, insider trading, etc. So typically, we could see increased volatility for the US dollar, the Mexican peso, the euro, the Japanese yen, oil, gold, basically any US-based currency pairs and US indices. And obviously, the crypto asset class is one of the most volatile asset classes, so we're going to look at its price action historically during the last 3 elections. But one major thing to look out for is usually the tendency for liquidity providers to significantly limit their liquidity. So what does that mean? When they limit their liquidity, just being cautious in the Forex market or maybe even the crypto asset class, the spreads get wider. So because the spreads can widen, we can see higher levels of slippage. So there's a possibility of reduced liquidity, but typically elections are stimulus years and leads to big injections in the future. I know that Raoul Pal has highlighted this. So if these market makers and liquidity providers actually reduce their liquidity, there's wider spreads, so there could be higher slippage and greater price swings both up and down. So friendly reminder, I'm speculating here, and this is never financial advice, but just looking at price action specifically after elections. This has historically led to much bigger rises where Bitcoin creates that first major move, taking out its previous cycle top and then running for on average maybe 200 to 300 days for each of these 3 cycles. Now the big picture is historically after elections we have greater levels of liquidity, but during elections we have the tendency to see market makers and liquidity providers reduce their liquidity. So if there is reduced liquidity, there can be greater price swings due to slippage. So if there's large buys, it can push the price up even higher, and if there's large selling, it can push the prices even lower. So let's zoom in and look at the monthly Bitcoin price chart and its price action after elections since 2012. So these black vertical lines are the elections. And yes, I know that the market cap of Bitcoin since inception in 2009 was incredibly small, so it didn't really take much at this time. But looking at the elections in 2012, we can see shortly after this was timed around with the halving as well. Bitcoin did see a large rise in getting that first major move roughly 4 months later. So overall, early on this led to a much bigger rise, and then Bitcoin ran after that first major move until it cycled top for 200 to 300 days. From there, we had another multi-year bear market, then we had elections in 2016, and then we got our first major move about 6 months later. And since the first major move, we're going to see Bitcoin ran up until a cycle top for over 200 days. And taking a look at last cycle, this was timed very close with elections, so we can see that November right here, we had elections, and then we got that first major move in December. Technically, we poked into an all-time price, but I'm just looking at that first major move, that first full monthly candle body that we had by the end of December. And since the first major move after getting confirmation of another cycle, we can see it ran for over 300 days, but we did have bearish divergence on the monthly time frame. So this is basically my hope for another liquidity cycle in the future. I don't know if we crash the trend line, I have no idea what to expect, and I don't know the outcome of this election, but yes, I want another liquidity cycle. So I just went through the last 3 cycles, so whether it's a month after elections or even 6 months after elections, this is what we've historically seen. So there are definitely similarities and differences for each and every cycle, but what's different about this cycle is Bitcoin reached an all-time price in March before the Bitcoin halving. So this is the first time that the Bitcoin price chart reached an all-time price, taking out the previous cycle top before the halving. But since then, we've been ranging near that cycle top for about 7 months. So we're going to find out what the future holds. I, of course, am waiting for another liquidity cycle in the future, and I'm taking the chance. And obviously I'm excited because I've experienced the last 2 bull runs, and I know there's a lot of people in this asset class that bought near the 2021 highs, and they haven't seen a true alt season or a Bitcoin cycle. And just a couple other things, and we'll dive into iTrustCapital. Obviously, the setup for Bitcoin dominance is very interesting. During the last 2 cycles, Bitcoin was creating higher highs, and Bitcoin dominance crashed, leading to alts getting volume. So I have no idea when or if we get another alt season, but that is what I'm looking for Bitcoin dominance to find its top crash and have another exciting cycle. And this is on the monthly time frame, so every single candle body is roughly 30 days. I know it's taken a long time. But it's also interesting because the monthly RSI, or the momentum for Bitcoin dominance, is the highest it's ever been in history, so we're right around 70. I don't know if we reject and come down or if we even go higher. We can look at other things like the Fear and Greed Index. We are in extreme greed at 77 today. I've gone over the Pi Cycle Top Indicator a bunch, basically showing the last 3 or 4 valid swing highs before a large pullback during these golden crosses where the yellow or gold cuts through the green. So this was, within weeks of a big top or pullback, we can see the cycle top right there, timing the cycle top right there, and then timing the cycle top right there. So we've not formed that golden cross. If we are to do that in the future, Bitcoin would basically have to go a lot higher. And last but not least, this is the Bitcoin Bull Run Index by Collins. You can just Google this title if you want to look at this. This basically aggregates 9 different metrics or indicators together looking at the Bitcoin cycles. We can see since 2011, dark green has historically been the cycle bottoms for these last 3 cycles. We also had our cycle bottom right there. And the dark red has aligned with the monthly RSI reaching about 90 or even higher. So let me show that really quick. But we can see cycle top, and cycle top. So we've not reached dark red. Bitcoin has just been ranging for 7+ months. And what I mean with the monthly RSI is historically, when we get the first major move, that first large monthly candle over the previous cycle top, which we haven't seen for this cycle, the monthly RSI at least reaches 90. So we can see right there at the cycle top, this is over 90. We can see right there, over cycle top, 95. And then right there, this was just over 90. So right around there, just a hair over 90. So the monthly RSI is essentially the momentum of the Bitcoin price chart, and each time we've seen the first major move, that first fat monthly candle over the previous cycle top, the monthly RSI is then run to 90. So that's my bullish case I've been looking for forever, and keep in mind that I was hoping that Bitcoin saw its first major move back in May, and we've been doing absolutely nothing ever since. And if you think that this is in fact a triple top for the Bitcoin price chart and a big fake out, so 1, 2, 3, and we crash, I don't, but anything is possible. So we're going to find out in the future if we do in fact get greater levels of volatility, talking about 10 or even 20% price swings, 10K price swings, deep wicks, but I'm really focused on where the monthly candle body closes each month. Because historically, as we've looked at the previous cycles, just maintaining monthly candle bodies, not deep wicks, but monthly candle bodies over the 8-month EMA after the Bitcoin halving is really important. So for anybody that has been watching my videos this year, we've been talking about the 8-month EMA, and we have seen the monthly candle bodies hold above this level fairly well, but we have seen some deep wicks even to like 49K back in August. So I know this is just looking on the monthly time frame. This doesn't take any high degree of skill, but just looking at the higher time frame trend. Alright, let's dive into iTrustCapital now, the #1 crypto IRA platform in the United States. So this is linked in the top of the YouTube video description for anybody interested. If you fund your account, you get a $100 funding reward. They've listed several new assets recently like SWI, Immutable, Render, TON, WIF, Pepe, Bonk, etc. So now they're coming up on almost 50 different options for crypto assets, which is great to see, and I'm looking forward to even more in the future. I'm also looking forward to more of the options that they mentioned before, such as tokenized real estate, interest-earning assets, more crypto assets, etc. We also had this last week from Kevin Maloney, the CEO of iTrustCapital. Discussing the start of iTrustCapital, I started with iTrustCapital in January of 2020, and yes, maybe it was pure luck, but I'm really happy I started that before the 2021 bull run. I was previously with Bit IRA, and I'm really happy I made the switch to iTrustCapital. So now today they have 100 professionals, more than 53,000 active client accounts, and they did surpass over $10 billion in executed transactions. We also know a few years ago, after the company's Series A financing round, they had a valuation of $1.3 billion. I'm not sure about their valuation today, but obviously if we get another crypto bull run in the future, there's going to be a variety of companies that do really well. And the really nice thing about iTrustCapital is per their terms of service, if they went out of business, which I don't believe happens unless crypto just sees a massive black swan, we get our funds legally by law because they leverage a qualified custodian. So that's at least some big reassurance for me for a lot of companies in the crypto space that are not properly regulated and run off with your funds, including exchanges. And like the CEO of iTrustCapital has said, the majority of their clients are working professionals. They do have exposure in the crypto asset class. I think he said on average maybe 20% of their portfolio. And anybody in the United States can start a Roth IRA or a retirement account with a minimum of $1,000. So some people might start small, others might just roll over a 401k from a previous employer or turn it into a Roth IRA. But the nice thing is, you don't have to be all in on a single asset or have your entire portfolio in Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. You can actually hold US dollar 24/7, 365. So I really like that option of 24/7, 365 trading personally if you need to do anything or make any changes. Because if you're buying a Bitcoin spot ETF or Ethereum spot ETF, good luck making a trade or getting out on weekends because they're closed. So great to see that iTrustCapital this month has surpassed over $10 billion in transactions. I also did a YouTube video on my iTrustCapital playlist titled something like the 7 different types of retirement accounts, going over them and what iTrustCapital offers. And always be sure to seek the advice of a qualified legal, investment, or tax professional. Also, a few other pieces of news that we've gone over. They do have this promotion ending today, so this rollover must be initiated by today, October 31st, to roll over your 401k, and you get a $100 funding bonus using promo code ROLL24. So that direct link is pinned at the top of iTrustCapital's Twitter X profile. I also saw this month that iTrustCapital wins the Best Cryptocurrency Website Web Awards 2024, so we can see this right on their website. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm wishing everybody a happy Halloween, and I have iTrustCapital linked in the top of the YouTube video description, or you can visit directly iTrustCapital.com. I know retirement accounts are for investors that have a longer term time horizon, but man, I am tired of waiting some days, so bring the bull run, baby. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and sharing your thoughts down below. As always, you can find all links, including resources for charting, trading bots, platforms, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts in my link tree at the top of the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.